What is up, guys? Rick Calus here, and today we have the complete guide for how to beat the Calus encounter within the Prestige difficulty Leviathan Raid in Destiny 2. This guide will show you everything you need to know, showcasing the basics of how to do it, especially focusing on the new Prestige difficulty mechanics, and also talking about some recommended tips and loadouts for success. And so, let's get started. Now, this time around, what has changed for the Prestige difficulty? Well, the base mechanics are essentially unchanged, in the fact that you have some of your team in the big head area and the other part of your team are in the throne room. The people in the throne room are slaying enemies. Remember that enemies are a little bit tougher. They do a little bit more damage, so you're really going to have to focus on taking those enemies down. And then the other half of your team is in Big Head, again shooting scions and eventually killing skulls. The amount of skulls you get directly impacts how much damage you do to Calus. Then, after a while of damaging skulls and the team inside brings down his shield, he's going to be available to damage. You hop from plate to plate to plate, moving when he is about to cause a damaging area of effect on the plate, so you move to the next plate and just do as much damage as you can. Now, that's a quick overview. If you are completely lost by the explanation, it means that you haven't ever seen a guide for how to do even the normal mode. I would recommend definitely watching my raid guide for dummies and then coming back, because we are focusing on mainly prestige difficulty. So this time around, one of the biggest changes, the thing you'll notice right away, is that when you melee a scion, whenever, it doesn't matter if this is while people are calling it out or just as soon as they spawn, you will teleport into Big Head. And if there are people in Big Head, one person randomly within Big Head will teleport back out into Throne Room. Again, every time you melee a scion, it will essentially switch places. One person from Throne Room goes to Big Head, one person from Big Head teleports to Throne Room. Now, because of this, I would recommend a 3-and-3 team split. I think a lot of teams, including my own, was very used to the 4 on Big Head and 2 in Throne Room split, so you could one-phase him, but it becomes incredibly complicated with having, duplicate symbols and so on when you have people teleporting, and the enemies are a ton tougher in Throne Room, so having that extra person there to help out is incredibly useful. It's still possible to one-phase him with 3 people damaging skulls. It's just going to be a bit harder. And this means there's no avoiding this mechanic. You can choose who melees the scion and who gets teleported inside Big Head, but it will randomly pick someone from Big Head to teleport out to Throne Room. So you have to have a team that's comfortable doing both sections of this encounter. However, quick tip here, again, you can dictate who teleports out to Big Head. So you really want to make sure when you're meleeing the last scion or the last 2 scions to send out warlocks and titans to Big Head. And the reason being is because Titans can use Rally Barricade to allow you to shoot skulls and then crouch and uncrouch, instantly reloading your Cold Heart, for example, or Sweet Business, or just normal auto rifle, allowing you to do a ton more damage and get more skulls in the end. And of course, Warlocks can put down an Empowering Rift, and especially an Empowering Rift that provides Arc Souls 2, giving you, a little friend that will also shoot at skulls. So those 2 classes, again, you should be meleeing the scions in the last few rounds of it so that they can get out to Big Head and that you can maximize the amount of skulls you get. Again, remember that when you are damaging his shield, take as long as you can. There's about 20 seconds before you wipe. So you want to be taking down that shield at about the 19th second. It does take a lot more to take down, so perhaps getting it to halfway and then shooting him with a rocket with cluster bombs will be the way to do it, but don't take that shield down right away. Again, you want to maximize the amount of skulls you can get, especially if you want to be able to do this in one phase, and trust me, you do. Now, aside from that teleportation mechanic, and it is a doozy, but nothing really else has changed, again, aside from the power level of the enemies. So let's go into some tips here to help with success. Number 1, supers are key There is so many enemies and they do so much damage that you need to have the ability to pop a super and kill a ton of them in one go, or else you will simply be overran. You're going to waste all of your heavy and basically all of your ammunition, period, if you're trying to kill all of these enemies without using a super. So ad clearing supers, like especially a Stormcaller Warlock, is fantastic in this encounter for big head. Like a Stormcaller Warlock can use that ad clearing super and can also provide Arc Souls and an Empowering Rift. Very, very useful class. A Striker Titan is also very, very useful. They do have a problem with producing orbs. They seem to not produce as many orbs as some of the other classes, but they do have a super that's great for clearing ads, and Rally Barricade is essential. I don't know how you're going to beat this, especially in one phase, without Rally Barricade. It is so useful at getting skulls and at damaging Calus. Now, in terms of weaponry, I would recommend we have the Sweet Business and the Cold Heart. I think one of those should be equipped because both of them do absolutely phenomenal damage against Calus and are fantastic against skulls. And remember, there's not as much choosing this time around with who is in Big Head and who is in Throne Room. So you might have to damage skulls even if you're not used to it. And so having a weapon that can accomplish that is incredibly important. Running a scout rifle and a hand cannon means that if you do end up in skulls, you're going to be not a very big help to your team. So having one of those guns is, I think, essential. Also, a rocket launcher with cluster bombs is also nigh essential. Number one, it does fantastic damage against ads within Throne Room. Shooting one of those rocket launchers with cluster bomb, especially the Raid rocket launcher, takes down a bunch of guys and really does hurt the yellow health enemies, the Centurions, and they are a huge problem. And it also does a great amount of damage to Calus, especially if you are pairing it with a Titan Rally Barricade. You should not be shooting your rockets unless you do have a Titan Rally Barricade deployed. That's how much extra damage you get from it. You want to be able to shoot all of your rockets within a matter of seconds and then go to your Sweet Business or your other auto rifle or your Cold Heart. Another key to this encounter is to, well, frankly, not die. Really try to limit the amount of deaths you're having on your team. And the reason being is because of the new hard mode raid mechanic. This time around, revive tokens are treated exactly like they are in Trials of the Nine. Whereas if you die, and in normal mode raid, you'd be revived and you'd still have your revive token to spend on someone. But now in hard mode, if you have a revive token and you die and get revived, you lose that token. It's only one revive token per person. So if 3 different people die, then the other 3 use their revive tokens on those 3 people, you cannot revive any more players. Now the same person can die up to 5 times individually, and each other player uses their token on that one person. But yeah, don't be that one person because that is definitely going to be very annoying. But keep this in mind. You're going to want to play less aggressively, potentially, in the Prestige difficulty raid than you do in the normal raid because dying is so punishing. You're losing 1/3 of your available revives, potentially. And speaking of staying alive, I think this is a great spot to talk about how the new teleportation mechanic involved with the Scions is extremely finicky. If you are jumping as you're being teleported, expect to teleport 30 feet above the Big Head arena and instantly die. Yes, it's complete BS, but it does happen. You're also going to be teleported, as you've seen from the background gameplay, at the very back of Big Head, and then find yourself being drawn forward to that barrier. So you're going to have to avoid the holes in the ground and jumps and everything. Really try to pay attention to that. And frankly, there's not much you can do. Sometimes you just get screwed by this mechanic and it's going to cause a wipe. It sucks, but that's the way it is right now. Now, moving on from there, another big tip for you guys. A lot of groups out there, including our group, are going to find that they have to 2-phase him, meaning that they won't be able to kill him in a single damage phase. Like we were consistently doing it, very consistently doing it in normal mode, but he has a lot more health in prestige mode, and there's only 3 people shooting skulls, so there's less skulls available even. So again, a 2-phase is likely. Now why am I mentioning this? Well, very importantly, As you can see, Calus's health is split up into thirds. Once you damage a full third and move on to the second third and then the last third, things are going to happen. He's going to transform, his crit will change, and very importantly, when he reaches the last third of his health, his attack is going to change. Whereas before, he would cause kind of an orb of fire to spawn, circle around, and then explode, damaging anyone nearby, which of course you want to avoid. If he is in that last third of his health, he's going to instead burn a large area of the ground. So, if you're damaging him, and it's very clear that you're not going to be able to kill him in one phase, you may want to actually stop damaging him. Don't do as much damage as you can, because you may want to avoid that last third of health. If you can get him just before he gets into that last third, Calus will still do his normal mechanic instead of the burning the ground mechanic, which is a lot more dangerous. So that tip can definitely help some teams survive. Also, by the way, a little bit of an extra tip here, heavy ammo is obviously important. And if you find yourself low on heavy ammo, you can always melee the scions that spawn before the symbols are happening and you're calling out and it gets very intense. Now remember, you don't want to kill all scions, because if you do, it will cause adds to spawn, but you can kill 3 as long as you leave 1 alive. Killing 1 will teleport you into Big Head, and then you'll just stay there until everyone else teleports into Big Head. Also remember, if you melee a scion and your allies are nearby, they will also likely get a heavy ammo drop for them too. So that's kind of a way you can get heavy if you do need it. Now, one last tip for you guys here. If you are playing a hunter, although you don't have any of the support class abilities, I would recommend playing Golden Gun. And the reason being is because you can use the subclass perk that gives you orbs for getting critical hits. This is incredibly important. You have 3 shots, and all 3 crits on Calus is firstly going to do a lot of damage to him, and secondly produce 6 orbs. So if there are multiple golden guns, firstly you can chain golden guns, so the people with golden gun will regenerate it and be able to use it twice or even 3 times in one phase. And also, they're going to produce so much orbs that's going to make the second phase on Calus, if you do need one, a lot easier, because everyone's going to recharge their supers much quicker because there's so many orbs lying around from the golden guns. So keep that in mind. I would definitely recommend golden gun over any other hunter subclass in this encounter. And so guys, that is it. The changed mechanics along with a bunch of tips and suggestions to help you complete this encounter. I really hope you enjoy and found this useful. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. And if you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.